The sand burned beneath her, scorching through the gaps in her shattered armor. Blood soaked into the dunes as General Kara Verdin stared up at the twin suns, her vision blurring. The searing light of midday above Varel, six bore no sympathy. She tried to move, but her left side was numb, pulse weakening, lungs rasping, pain radiating through her ribcage with every breath. Around her, the battlefield was quiet now. The cries of dying men, her men, had faded. Silence meant only one thing. They were all dead. Her last order had been to push forward into the canyon. She did it without question, even though her gut had twisted at the timing. She'd requested air support. Command confirmed it. Then, at the moment of the charge, it vanished from a feed. No comms, no cover, just a full frontal assault into a fortified position and sudden isolation. A trap, not by the rebels, by the Empire itself. Kara gritted her teeth as the memory clawed its way to the surface. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Dresk, had looked at her in disbelief. "They cut us off," he'd said, eyes wide. She didn't respond. She couldn't, not with her fury rising faster than any words could form. Moments later, an orbital bombardment took out the ridgeline behind them. They were boxed in. Her unit, the 17th Human Legion, the Dustwalkers, was wiped out in the span of 5 minutes. The Empire's voice had echoed coldly in her ear as the drone feed circled above. Human asset General Kara Verdin presumed terminated. Objective complete. That was it. No sorrow, no honor, just disposal. She coughed, blood flecking her lips. She reached weakly for the sand, dragging her body forward inch by inch. Not out of hope, she didn't believe in that anymore, but instinct. Her right hand twitched, brushing against the damaged bracer on her wrist. It blinked faintly, one last reserve cell flickering. She pressed her thumb to the center, holding it for 5 seconds. The light turned solid blue, then dimmed. There was no sound, no signal, or so it seemed. Her eyes fluttered shut. She let the weight of death settle over her, the Empire's betrayal sinking into her bones. She thought of her soldiers. The Dustwalkers had marched across 6 dead worlds together. She had carried their burdens, won their battles, earned their loyalty, not because she was superior, but because she never abandoned them. And now, in their final hour, she had been powerless. She had trusted command, trusted the system. She had believed humanity's place in the Galactic Empire was real. But it was always a leash, always a lie. The desert winds began to rise. The drones had long since flown off. The Empire didn't watch corpses decay. She was already a line item in some cold report. Human casualty confirmed. Reason for loss, mission failure. Replacement cost, negligible. Her name would be scrubbed, her deeds forgotten. History would write her out like all the others who resisted. And yet, beneath the skin of her bracer, something ancient stirred. Not imperial tech, human tech. Real human tech, built on Earth, hidden in shadow, stored in deep vaults the Empire never knew existed, and tied only to one thing, a fallback signal. She had been warned it might never activate. 40 seconds, they said. If you're not dead yet, it'll know. But it only fires once. She'd accepted it, not for herself, but for what came after. If she fell, they needed to know. Earth needed to know. Humanity needed to know. Seconds passed. The winds howled louder. Her fingers spasmed once more, sand slipping between them. Her last thought, strangely, wasn't rage. It was an oath. A whisper in her mind from a creed, passed among human soldiers in hushed voices. We die in shadow, so others can rise in flame. Then nothing. Far above the planet, in the unmapped frequencies of forgotten satellites orbiting black space, a signal blinked to life. Encrypted in pre-Empire Earth code, unsniffable by any known alien relay, it shot through silent channels toward deep space. It passed relay points buried inside long-dead freighters. It pinged old Earth outposts thought abandoned. And then, deep beneath the Pacific Rim, in a place no alien species had ever stepped, a machine woke up. In its core, a name flashed. Kara Verdin. The machine made no sound. But Earth did. It moved. 40 seconds. 40 seconds after she bled out under a sky that had betrayed her, something old answered her call. And General Kara Verdin would not stay dead. A soft tremor rippled beneath the sand. It began subtly, too faint for orbiting sensors to detect. The dunes shimmered in the heat, hiding movement beneath their surface. Kara's body remained still, coated in dust and blood, her armor cracked and scorched. Her eyes were closed, but around her, the world had begun to change. Deep underground, something mechanical unlocked. Subterranean panels, disguised for decades as mineral deposits, split open. From them, spider-like drones crawled out in silence, scanning the air, the sand, the body. They found her, vital signs near zero, brain activity flickering. The signal had been true. Kara Verdin was alive. Barely. In a silent burst, a localized time-fold bubble formed, just 10 meters wide. It cracked the desert floor without a sound. From within, a form stepped forward, humanoid, plated in matte black alloy, with no insignia, no identification. Behind it came more, dozens, then hundreds. 40 seconds after the beacon fired, the first squad of Phoenix units had arrived. Kara's wrist bracer disintegrated as its job completed. The device was never meant to be recovered. One use, one signal, one response. As the dust settled around her body, 2 med units advanced, injecting nano-silk threads into her bloodstream. Her wounds began to seal. Her heart fluttered, caught, then beat again. She gasped. Her eyes snapped open, wide, clear, furious. She did not cry out. She did not scream. She simply breathed, then sat up as the nanofibers finished knitting muscle and bone. The suit she wore hardened around the damaged areas, sealing her inside a survival cocoon. The commander of the arriving force knelt beside her, helmet visor shifting to clear glass. A human face. Pale, young, eyes like steel. "Welcome back, General," he said. "Phoenix Protocol confirms your signature." She stared at him. "What's the response strength?" 10,000 active units, with 10 more en route via phase tunnels. "You authorized full recall." Earth AI confirmed priority level override. Kara looked past him, watching more soldiers emerge from the fold bubble, each armed with weapons the Empire classified as theoretical. Directed gravity rifles, cloaked drones, adaptive AI shells, all black, all human, all hidden for over a century. They were the backup plan. She stood slowly, her legs still shaking from blood loss, but her mind sharper than it had ever been. "Is the AI awake?" "Yes, ma'am. Prime Corps has assumed tactical oversight. Orders: secure the crash zone, bury the dead, jam all signals." The commander nodded and relayed the instructions. The Phoenix Corps moved without hesitation, deploying perimeter shields, mapping the terrain, collecting the remains of the Dustwalkers with reverence. They had not been forgotten. Kara moved toward a small command module being unpacked beside a hover crate. As she walked, her thoughts went back to the months before this mission. The moment she was approached, it had been discreet. A message tucked into a decoded relic, the kind that shouldn't have existed under Imperial data law. It simply said, "When the betrayal comes, bleed, then rise." She'd followed the trail. Old rebel cells that hadn't spoken in decades. Rogue scientists. Engineers who'd disappeared from Earth. Together, they'd formed the Contingency, a rapid deployment human response unit buried in myth, funded in secret by the last independent Earth governments before full Imperial absorption. The Phoenix Corps had no loyalty to the Empire. Their only trigger was one: the confirmed betrayal of a human asset in the field. She had been the test case. She had volunteered. "I'll go to the front," she had told them. "Let them think they've broken us. Then we show them what we've really built." Most of those people were gone now, disappeared, hunted, or executed under Imperial purges. But their work had survived. She had survived. Now it was time to answer. She tapped into the portable relay, now connecting her to Earth's shadow network. An uplink flashed. Text only. A single line from Prime Corps. Awaiting directives. Galactic Empire status. Operational. Alert level. Unknowing. They didn't even know she was alive. Good. She keyed in her response. Initiate operation, Ashfall. Confirm full autonomy. Begin strategic declassification of Phoenix Core across all silent theaters. The reply came in seconds. Confirmed. Strike windows opening in 73 locations. Coordinated blackout in progress. Shall we inform the Galactic Council? She paused, then typed. Not yet. Let them enjoy their silence a little longer. Behind her, the sky darkened. Not with clouds, but with ships decloaking in high orbit. Angular. Efficient. Terrifying. The kind of designs humanity had never shown the Empire. Not because they couldn't build them, but because they didn't want anyone to know they could. The last of her pain faded. The Empire thought her dead. Thought humanity broken. Thought Earth compliant. They'd buried a viper and walked away. Now, Kara Verdin was back. And she wasn't alone. The Galactic Empire registered the anomaly too late. At first, it was a faint distortion in the atmospheric sensors, an unexplained gravitational fluctuation over Varel 6. Then the scout drones went dark. Entire data feeds cut out in an instant. Orbital Command dismissed it as solar interference. By the time they rerouted surveillance, their forward base on the planet's surface was gone. No trace. No distress calls. Just scorched terrain and a crater where the command hub used to be. Within minutes, 3 more Imperial installations across nearby systems experienced similar blackouts. No warning, no pattern, no survivors. What they couldn't see, what no one in the Empire was prepared for, was that the Phoenix Core wasn't just a rescue team. It was a weapon. The kind of weapon built in fear, sharpened in secrecy, and held back until the betrayal was undeniable. Their arrival was not a rescue. It was retaliation. The soldiers that stepped out of the fold tunnels were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Their armor was layered with reactive alloys capable of self-healing. Their weapons adjusted mid-fire to enemy shielding frequencies. Their comms ran on quantum entanglement, completely invisible to standard trackers. And most devastating of all, they operated without hesitation. Each strike was surgical. Kara didn't waste time on declarations. She issued no ultimatums. Her forces simply erased targets. High-value facilities, relay stations, armories, logistics hubs, gone in minutes. Imperial Command scrambled to deploy countermeasures, but found themselves blind. Every human-designed defense system built under the Empire's rule had a quiet flaw embedded deep in its firmware, one that had never been discovered. Because it wasn't designed to fail, it was designed to turn. Those flaws activated now. Targeting systems shut down mid-battle. Command hierarchies reversed. Friendly fire incidents erupted across dozens of planets. The Empire blamed sabotage. They didn't realize the truth. Humanity had never given them control. Only access. Kara stood at the center of it all, watching the data cascade through the relay streams. Her mind processed it in silence. A map of enemy collapse unfolding in real time. Each red dot was a fallen stronghold. Each blue flash, a Phoenix unit completing its strike and jumping to the next system. What the Empire had built over centuries was unraveling in hours. The galaxy had long treated humanity as a species of potential, useful, clever, but ultimately junior. When Earth joined the Empire, it did so under the guise of equality. Integration, unity, but under that smiling mask was a cage. No high-level command posts, no real votes on galactic law, no access to core tech libraries. Humans were labor, muscle, and fodder, and those who questioned it were quietly eliminated. Kara had known the truth for years, but she also knew how to wait. Earth never resisted openly. It smiled, nodded, and complied. Meanwhile, deep underground, hidden from all scans it built, it studied. It watched. Every Imperial weapon was reverse-engineered. Every system copied, improved, hidden. Humanity had learned from every betrayal, every massacre, every accident the Empire thought they'd buried. Now that knowledge was bleeding back into the stars. One particular strike Kara had authorized was personal. A command vessel in orbit above Zaltha Prime. Home to the official who signed the final order abandoning her battalion. The man hadn't even flinched when it was confirmed she died. The footage showed him pouring wine at a celebration. She made sure he saw her face before his ship imploded. The Phoenix Corps made no declarations because it didn't need to. Its presence alone was a declaration. The Empire, for all its reach and arrogance, had never faced this kind of warfare. No bureaucracy could move fast enough. No protocol was prepared for an enemy that had spent centuries pretending to be weak. Each time an Empire fleet mobilized, it was hit from within. Human engineers they had pressed into service turned. Supply lines ruptured. Fuel vanished. Entire starports refused access. Local populations, inspired by the sudden shift in power, rose up. The psychological impact was total. Kara understood the true power of war wasn't just destruction, it was doubt. Once an empire begins to question its own strength, it's already lost. She didn't seek to conquer. She wasn't interested in ruling. Her objective was simpler: destroy the machine that thought it could own her people. Leave behind nothing but the memory of what happened when humanity stopped playing nice. She coordinated her forces with brutal precision. Ground teams executed rapid strikes, recovered captured humans, uploaded override codes, then vanished. Fleet units dismantled star destroyers using antimatter mines small enough to fit in the palm of a hand. Even black site prisons were breached, some of which the Empire itself had forgotten existed. In every location, one thing was left behind: the insignia of the Phoenix Corps, a black sunburst rising from ashes. No words, no signature, just a symbol the Empire couldn't understand and couldn't trace. Because the truth was spreading. Across a dozen species, the same question was whispered: what happened to the humans? And in the shadows, the answer had arrived. The Galactic Empire convened an emergency council session, the first in over 70 years. Representatives from every major species attended, but none spoke above a whisper. The data was too damning. 17 key systems lost. 40 installations wiped out. Multiple high command officers dead. No demands. No warnings. Just silence after each strike. And in every report, one common thread: humanity. Some believed it was a rogue cell. Others suspected outside manipulation. But the pattern was undeniable. The Empire hadn't just been attacked. It had been infiltrated from within by a force designed to dismantle it piece by piece. One counselor from the Valari Confederation dared speak the obvious. They planned this. 4 generations. No one argued. They couldn't. Meanwhile, across hidden networks and encrypted channels, the name Kara Verdin returned from the dead. Classified files once sealed under Imperial lock were leaked anonymously. Her full service record, her medals, the betrayal, the recorded voice of command confirming her abandonment. The lie exposed. Public sentiment shifted like a storm. The non-human populations who had long seen humans as subordinates began to reevaluate. If the Empire could discard its own allies so easily, who else could be next? Protest movements erupted across core worlds. Whispers of Phoenix Protocol reached even distant colonies. The idea spread not as a rumor, but as a revelation. Kara understood the real war was no longer on battlefields. It was in minds. The Phoenix Corps didn't just dismantle structures, they exposed truths. Every facility they hit released records, archives of buried war crimes, financial exploitation, species targeting, and forced labor programs hidden beneath economic reports. The Empire had relied on control through complexity. Layers of law, bureaucracy, and language designed to confuse and stall. But now, the confusion was theirs. Whole branches of command turned in on themselves, afraid of sabotage. Officers defected. Entire divisions went dark, uncertain who they truly served. Kara's strategy remained ruthlessly efficient. She never let emotion dictate the next target. Her goal wasn't revenge, it was liberation. The Empire had believed it could suppress a species indefinitely. She aimed to prove otherwise, not just for humanity, but for every race crushed under Imperial rule. In a confidential uplink to Allied resistance leaders across 4 species, she spoke plainly. We are not your saviors. We are your example. Rise or remain kneeling. The choice is yours. It ignited a surge. On worlds where rebellion had once seemed futile, crowds began to move. Protests became seizures. Garrisons defected. Fleet officers smuggled weapons to underground cells. Every successful Phoenix operation became a catalyst for another uprising. The Empire, massive as it was, couldn't put out the fires fast enough. They responded with force, deploying elite alien shock troops, attempting mass arrests, even threatening planetary bombardments. But now, every action was public. Every order leaked. Civilians once silent began documenting everything. The fear was breaking. Kara watched all of it unfold without stepping into the spotlight. Her body recovered, her mind sharper than ever. She remained in motion, one system to the next, guiding operations, adjusting tactics. She didn't care for credit. Her victory didn't require statues or songs. It required results. Eventually, the Empire's emperor, an ancient being who had ruled through proxy and fear, issued a message to humanity directly. A plea disguised as strength. Cease hostilities. Return to the fold. Amnesty is possible. There is still a place for you among the stars. Kara's reply was short. There never was. The feed cut. The Empire understood, finally, that no negotiation would hold. No compromise would be accepted. This wasn't a mutiny. It was a reckoning. And Earth, silent and still seemingly docile on official records, remained untouched and untouched still. The Phoenix Corps never returned there. It didn't need to. Earth was not a battlefield. It was the forge, the myth, the reminder that true power doesn't scream, it waits. In the following months, half the outer systems broke away from the Empire. Others began transitioning governance to local control. What remained of the Central Command tried to stabilize the core, but supply chains were gone, loyalty fractured, and fear rampant. The Phoenix Corps did not claim territory. They didn't hold parades or install governments. Once an objective was completed, they vanished. Their message was clear: we don't want to rule you. We want you to remember. Remember what happens when you corner something that spent centuries learning how to fight back. Kara stood one last time at the site where it had begun. Varel, 6, now a restricted zone marked only by silence. The sand no longer burned. Her soldiers were buried with honor. The ground had been left untouched after the initial extraction. She didn't weep. She didn't speak. She simply nodded and turned away. The Empire had drawn blood and expected compliance. Instead, they had awakened a force older than their dominion, will. And when human will is betrayed, it does not die. It returns with an army.